Hello, everybody. It's Mrs. Pound, and we are talking about types of machines in Chapter 4.3. And our section today is Section 433 on pulleys. So, our objectives are going to be to distinguish between different pulleys, determine the mechanical advantage of pulleys. Now, I want you to think, when have you used pulleys? Maybe not quite as often as some of the other simple machines, because inclined planes we use every day at school as we're going up and down the stairs. Levers we use every day as we open and close the door. Maybe we use a can opener, those type of things. Maybe on the playground with a seesaw, we've used one. Pulleys, not quite as much. However, if some elevators use pulleys, that type of thing. So maybe you have used pulleys a little bit. So a pulley is a simple machine consisting of a rope or cable that turns around a wheel. And I have a picture of some pulleys from a sailboat in the background because sailboats definitely use lots of pulleys to lift those sails. Because especially when you're raising the sails, you don't want to have to run to the top of uh, and pull the sails up. You want to be able to pull them from the ground. So pulleys are commonly used for sailboats. Now, there are a couple of kinds of pulleys that we're going to talk about. There are two main types. A fixed pulley um, is the first type. Um, And this is attaches to something that does not move. So here, the pulley is attached to something that does not move, say the ceiling here. It changes the direction of the force that must be exerted. So instead of getting up at the ceiling and pulling this box to the top of the ceiling, we can stand on the floor and pull it to the top of the ceiling by standing on the floor. So it changes the direction. And it does not decrease the force because it's only changing the direction, so its mechanical advantage is 1. But sometimes, just like I was talking with the sailboat, it's a lot easier to raise the sail if you're standing on the deck than having to climb up and raise the sail that way. There's also the second type is a movable pulley. This connects to the object being moved. And so here's the pulley and see it's attached to the box here. And the rope is attached to a fixed object. So the rope is attached to, I don't know if this is the ceiling or whatever here, but it is attached to a fixed object. And you are pulling up here. So you're having to pull up instead of down. The pulley sits at the lowest point of the rope with the object attached to its axle. And here the mechanical advantage is actually 2 because the load is supported by 2 ropes. So it depends on how much of the load is supported by the ropes. So here it's supported by both ropes. So its mechanical advantage is actually 2. So compared to the last situation with the fixed pulley, this will take half as much force to lift this off the ground. And here is what we call a block and tackle. This is a combination of fixed and movable pulleys. See, we have a fixed pulley here, fixed pulley here. We have a movable pulley here. And the mechanical advantage is usually equal to the number of pulleys. Now here, the mechanical advantage is in fact 2, just like the number of pulleys, because this rope here and this rope here both support the weight of the load. We do not count this rope because it pulls down, just like the first fixed pulley. We do not count that rope. It's just 1, 2 for the mechanical advantage. Now, if you are listening, show me that you are listening by drawing a picture of a sailboat by your name at the top of the page. So, as more pulleys are added to increase the mechanical advantage, more rope needs to be added because this increases the distance. Remember, we talked about with simple machines that if you're going to use less force, you have to add distance. And so, because you're using less force, you have to increase the distance in order to do the same amount of work. That's just how it works. So our objectives today were to distinguish between different types of pulleys. We had the fixed pulley, the movable pulley, and then the combination of the two called the block and tackle, and to determine the mechanical advantage of pulleys. And we do that by counting the number of ropes supporting the load, and we do not count that last rope that gets pulled down. We do count it if it gets pulled up. So don't forget your 5 questions, and we will be back with more discussion about simple machines.